Halloween is supposed to be spooky, but somehow people still find new ways to make it stupid. From parents furious over raisins to neighbors demanding pumpkin permits, these are 49 of the dumbest, funniest, and most unhinged Halloween complaints ever made by Americans. Real posts, real rants, and zero common sense. Let's dive straight into the chaos. 1. Some guy in Ohio started an entire online petition to ban sexy pickle costumes. He called it the moral decline of vegetables. Party City just sold a green tube sock with a smirk, but this man wrote paragraphs about its seductive cucumber energy. He even compared it to ancient Roman decadence. Imagine scrolling your phone and seeing a dude ranting about seductive produce. The best part, thousands of people agreed with him and signed it like it was a political movement. Somewhere right now, a warehouse worker is restocking sexy pickles thinking, "This is my legacy." The internet decided vegetables were the new threat to civilization. Welcome to Halloween in America. 2. In a quiet Ohio suburb, one yard turned into a full-blown horror film set. The owner dumped gallons of fake blood, body parts, and severed limbs across their lawn for authenticity. Their neighbor called the HOA in tears, claiming her kid's therapist bill should be covered by the decorator. The HOA called the police, who showed up expecting an actual crime scene. They found plastic intestines, a fog machine, and a proud homeowner eating candy corn. The officer just sighed and told them to maybe tone down the murder next time. The neighborhood Facebook group exploded that night with arguments about artistic freedom versus emotional damage. Suburbia found its Scorsese. 3. A man in Texas wore an inflatable T-Rex costume so big it blocked the entire sidewalk. He said it was for laughs. Neighbors said it was for lawsuits. Trick-or-treaters had to walk in the street just to get around his tail, and one dad tripped over the air pump cord like it was a booby trap. By midnight, the T-Rex had popped from hitting a mailbox, leaving a sad man in gym shorts holding a deflated dinosaur carcass. He posted online that the costume was targeted by jealous neighbors. The HOA responded by banning prehistoric animals from future events. Only in America can an extinct species get community service hours. 4. In Arizona, a man built a 12-foot-tall ghost that lit up the entire block. His neighbor filed a formal complaint saying the shadow ruined her petunia's emotional stability. The city inspector showed up expecting electrical violations and found 2 adults arguing over flower feelings. She claimed the ghost shadow made her plants depressed. The homeowner refused to deflate his spirit, saying this was discrimination against the supernatural. Eventually, the HOA ruled the ghost had to nap between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. daily. People filmed the argument, and it hit TikTok as ghost rights activism. The flowers didn't recover, but the ghost became a local celebrity. 5. In New Jersey, a dad called 911 because a neighbor gave his kids raisins instead of candy. He told the dispatcher it was psychological abuse. When the officer arrived, the dad tried to show the evidence, a tiny red box of Sun-Maids. The cop couldn't stop laughing. The dad said the homeowners were sabotaging the holiday spirit. The officer said, "Sir, this is not a crime, it's just disappointing." That moment went viral on X under the tag Raisin Justice. The neighbor defended themselves, saying they were promoting healthy eating. The kids threw the raisins back on their porch. Halloween diplomacy failed again in America. 6. A blogger complained that Disney starts Halloween too early. She visited in August and was furious to see pumpkins before Labor Day. She called it an attack on summer. Her rant went viral when she shouted that people were skipping sunscreen for skeletons. Other parents joined the outrage, calling for a seasonal boundary amendment. Disney responded with a cheerful statement saying, "Spooky joy knows no calendar." The video of her yelling under a Mickey Ghost banner became the meme of the month. Every August now, someone tags her in a pumpkin latte photo just to keep the tradition alive. America can turn any calendar date into a civil war. 7. A man on Reddit wrote that Halloween glorifies evil while rotting children's teeth and souls at the same time. He called it proof of the end times and demanded candy companies print Bible verses on wrappers. His post got thousands of comments, mostly pictures of people eating candy dressed as devils. Someone even made t-shirts that said, "Praise the pumpkin." He deleted his account after a week and released a YouTube apology video saying his heart had been filled with chocolate and regret. Halloween survived. His dentist confirmed his cavities did not. America will never let logic ruin free candy. 8. A college guy in California decided his costume would just be himself with a hat. When people asked what he was, he said, "A guy who didn't care." The party hated it. Someone labeled him an energy vampire. He defended it on social media, saying effort was for people who peaked in high school. That clip got stitched by thousands of creators showing their wild costumes next to his baseball cap of shame. His ex commented, "This is why I left." By next Halloween, he wore a full clown suit in silence. Sometimes karma doesn't knock, it just honks. 9. In Florida, one homeowner used a motion sensor to make a witch scream every time someone walked past. His birdwatcher neighbor filed a complaint saying the pitch mimicked a rare screech owl's mating call. He claimed it was ruining owl courtship season. Wildlife officials refused to intervene, calling it the weirdest report of the year. The man tried switching to a zombie groan, but the neighbor said that was even more confusing to the owls. Now every October, locals gather just to hear the witch serenade wildlife. Scientists are still unsure if the owls ever found love. 10. A dad in Pennsylvania went viral after yelling at teens for showing up to trick-or-treat with no costumes. He gave them celery sticks instead of candy. One of them recorded him shouting that Halloween had standards. The clip hit 10 million views in 2 days. People started sending him actual celery in the mail as a joke. He later claimed it was performance art to encourage creativity. The town newspaper called him the Celery Avenger. By the next year, he was handing out candy again, dressed as a giant vegetable. No one knew if it was satire or surrender. Either way, Halloween won. 11. A woman on Instagram went viral for going to a Halloween party in a full zombie outfit, but keeping her flawless glam makeup untouched. Her hair was perfect, her lashes could deflect bullets, and her lipstick didn't even smudge through the fake blood. She told people she was a pretty apocalypse survivor, but everyone else called it a skincare commercial with brains. The host tried to splash her with fake gore to match the vibe, and she screamed about staining her outfit. By the end of the night, her selfie got 10,000 likes while the actual zombies got ignored. Only in America can the undead need contouring before haunting a party. 12. A man in Michigan showed up to a Halloween party dressed as himself but spooky. He wore jeans, a hoodie, and carried a flashlight. When people asked what he was, he said, "A relatable fear." Nobody laughed. One girl tried to give him fake blood to make it scarier, but he said realism was dead. By midnight, he sat in the corner scrolling his phone while people danced around him like extras in a zombie musical. The next day, he posted that costumes were for sheep who needed validation. The internet roasted him into extinction. Somehow he became both too cool for costumes and too lazy for fun. 13. A man in North Carolina filled his entire front yard with 50 skeletons posed like they were doing yoga. His neighbor complained that it promoted occult fitness. The city got involved thinking it was a health hazard, but the only real problem was that one skeleton kept falling into a split. The homeowner called it spiritual stretching for the afterlife. Someone posted a drone video and it went viral. Yoga moms online defended it while local churches called for prayer. Now the skeletons wear tiny leggings and headbands every October. The neighborhood calls it Benega. America can turn any protest into a theme park. 14. A group of teenagers in Chicago trick-or-treated wearing matching ski masks. One homeowner panicked and called the police thinking it was a robbery. Officers arrived to find 3 kids politely holding candy buckets. The parents had told them masks were fine as long as they said please. The kids ended up getting free chocolate from the cops. The next day, the same homeowner posted online demanding a national costume code for candy safety. Her post went viral as people replied with photos of themselves dressed as burglars handing out Snickers. The kids got candy. She got ratioed. America's favorite tradition remains panic in bulk. 15. A journalist complained online that adults in their 30s dressing up for Halloween was emotional immaturity disguised as nostalgia. The internet disagreed instantly. Thousands of users posted photos of their full costumes with captions like, "I pay taxes, let me wear fangs." Someone dug through her old posts and found a photo of her in a unicorn onesie from 2019. Within hours, she turned off comments. Her complaint became a meme about pretending to be serious while sitting on plastic pumpkins. She later issued a clarification that she meant excessive costumes, not fun ones. The internet reminded her that nobody asked. 16. A man in Florida uploaded a viral rant saying Halloween should be banned because it glorifies fear and sugar addiction. He said it turned neighborhoods into demonic carnivals. People replied with videos of toddlers in duck costumes doing satanic waddles. A local bakery even offered a cursed cupcake discount using his name. His church disavowed him, saying he misunderstood theology and frosting. By the following year, he quietly dressed as a priest, handing out mini chocolates. Sometimes you can't fight candy and win. Halloween survived, his dignity didn't. 17. In Los Angeles, a guy dressed as a sexy plumber. His costume included suspenders, fake abs, and a wrench that lit up. He called it high concept. Everyone else called it confusing. When asked if he was supposed to be Mario, he said no, just a man of culture. His date dressed as a broken sink. Halfway through the night, the wrench short-circuited and burned a hole in his pants. The fire alarm went off and he was escorted out holding a water bottle for coverage. The photo of him went viral, titled, "Plumber Without a Pipe." His embarrassment fixed nothing. 18. In a quiet suburb of Maine, a homeowner put up a projector showing giant ghosts dancing across their garage. A neighbor called City Hall claiming the display violated public safety because the ghosts were crossing property lines. The inspector arrived to find glowing spirits sliding across a white fence. They argued for 20 minutes about spectral trespassing before the homeowner turned off the power. Within days, someone edited the footage to dramatic music and posted it online as Ghosts Evicted by Bureaucracy. The video reached 2 million views. Even the mayor commented that this is why aliens don't visit us. 19. A kid in Texas refused to say trick or treat and just stood silently at every door holding his candy bucket. He'd stare for a full 5 seconds without blinking. Parents behind him tried to whisper prompts, but he just kept waiting. One neighbor said it felt like being judged by a tiny IRS agent. The clip hit social media and got nicknamed the Staring Bandit. Candy givers started preparing jokes just for him the next year. Someone even made stickers of his blank face. That's America's charm. Even awkward silence becomes a seasonal celebrity. 20. A man wrote a viral post declaring that Halloween candy was part of a government distraction campaign to keep citizens docile. He said the bright colors and sugar highs were tools of control. He filmed himself dumping candy in the trash as proof of rebellion. The comments were filled with people pretending to be government agents offering free Skittles. He went private within hours. A week later, his neighbors caught him sneaking a Milky Way from his mailbox. He said it was research. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't the candy. It's realizing the conspiracy tastes better than your dignity. 21. A guy in Brooklyn decided to dress as a vintage vampire. Instead of fake teeth, he glued on real ones from a novelty bone necklace. Midway through the party, he started drooling glue and panic set his fake cape on fire with a candle. Guests screamed, thinking it was part of the act. He ended up outside fanning his face with a plastic bat while someone poured soda on his cape. Later, he posted online saying society didn't understand method costuming. People said he just didn't understand common sense. He became a local legend known as Count Dumbula. Halloween creates villains and victims. Sometimes they're the same person. 22. A homeowner in Texas built a Halloween display with 12 animatronic clowns and 50 strobe lights. The neighbor filed a complaint saying it triggered his migraines and existential dread. The city inspector came wearing sunglasses like a referee at a disco. They measured the brightness while clowns laughed in sync. Eventually, they forced the man to limit the lights to 10 flashes per second, which somehow made it scarier. A kid passing by said it looked like a rave hosted by Satan. The video hit 1 million views online. Now every year, that house is unofficially known as the Migraine Mansion. Sometimes horror is just overachieving enthusiasm. 23. A man in Pennsylvania gave out full-size candy bars, but demanded every kid recite a Halloween fact before getting one. Some kids nailed it, others panicked. One girl started crying and asked if candy taxes existed. The man said knowledge builds character. Parents online called it Candygate. Someone edited his security footage into a fake game show titled Trick or Teach. It got 10 million views. By the next year, he switched to small candies and 0 quizzes. Kids celebrated outside his house chanting for freedom. In America, even sugar comes with rules until the internet shows up. 24. A city councilwoman proposed banning inflatable Halloween decorations before September, saying early displays ruin the economy of excitement. People called her the Pumpkin Grinch. Her speech about preserving seasonal integrity became a meme overnight. Within a week, her own house got covered by strangers with hundreds of inflatable skeletons holding tiny protest signs. She apologized during a live interview standing next to a 10-foot ghost waving behind her. The whole thing ended with a new local rule: inflate whatever you want, whenever you want. Democracy never looked so ridiculous. 25. A man from Utah posted that Halloween was dangerous because costumes promote false identities and moral confusion. He said pretending to be Batman was one step away from spiritual collapse. Someone replied asking if he had ever met a fun person. His rant got quoted by hundreds of costume stores as free marketing. By the next year, his church accidentally hosted a superhero-themed fundraiser. Photos leaked of him smiling next to Captain America. People called it divine irony. America has more costume controversies than political debates, and somehow both still end with popcorn. 26. A woman showed up to a company costume party dressed as a human resources horror. She carried fake warning slips and a prop clipboard. Her boss didn't find it funny when one of the slips said, "You're next." She got sent home for creating an unsafe environment. Co-workers said it was the best morale boost they'd had all year. Later, she posted the costume online and strangers voted her Employee of the Fear. The company banned costumes the next year entirely. Nothing kills workplace joy faster than literal corporate fear. 27. A couple in Colorado hung fake bats made of rubber all over their porch. Their neighbor, who raised parrots, complained the bats were sexually confusing his birds. He said they kept squawking and dancing weirdly toward the window. Animal control refused to visit. The story spread online with headlines calling it 50 Shades of Squawk. The neighbor eventually moved, saying the energy was cursed. The couple kept the bats as trophies. America will protect the right to decorate even if it breaks bird hearts. 28. In Ohio, a parent banned their child from trick-or-treating because they thought it promoted begging culture. Instead, they made the kid hand out apples with inspirational quotes taped to them. The neighborhood kids called the house the Apple Trap. By the third visitor, the apples were being used as projectiles. Someone filmed the chaos, and within hours, the video was trending as the health scare. The next Halloween, the same parent caved and gave out gummy worms. America forgives fast when sugar returns. 29. A theme park started Halloween festivities so early that by August it had haunted hayrides and fog machines running daily. A fitness influencer visiting said she couldn't breathe clean air or pump positive energy near synthetic fog. She filmed herself protesting outside the park entrance with a yoga mat. People behind her wore devil horns while sipping pumpkin smoothies. The video became background sound for countless parody clips of people doing nothing productive. Fog won, yoga lost. 30. A man claimed Halloween was an emotional scam invented by Big Candy to keep people distracted from real problems. He said costumes were psychological warfare. His video background included a wall covered in unpaid bills and glow-in-the-dark stickers. Within a week, someone spotted him buying Reese's cups at Walmart. A reporter confronted him, and he said they were for research. The clip became a viral duet trend called Research Mode. Every October now, he disappears from social media entirely. The candy wins every time. 31. A family in Kansas made a haunted maze out of old corn stalks. It looked harmless during the day, but at night it became a neighborhood panic. One kid got lost for 5 minutes and the parent called it a kidnapping. The dad who built it spent half the night yelling directions while holding a flashlight like a hero in a B-movie. When everyone finally got out, they realized the maze had only 3 turns. Local news showed up, calling it a safety crisis. Now every October, the same family gets letters from strangers asking if the maze is open again, because fear is free marketing in America. 32. A homeowner in Georgia placed a dozen life-size mannequins on his lawn, all facing the same house across the street. The neighbor came home after dark, saw silent figures staring and screamed until police arrived when they realized it was plastic. The officer laughed so hard his flashlight dropped the mannequins. became a roadside attraction. Cars stopped to take pictures. Tourists called it the Judgment Yard. The owner said it was modern art. The neighbor installed blinds that stayed closed forever. Halloween ended, but the staring never did because nothing haunts you like artificial eyes with perfect posture. 33. A father in Minnesota complained that his neighbor's haunted maze was too easy. He said it gave his son false confidence in problem solving. The boy finished it in 1 minute and bragged all night. The dad called it emotional sabotage. He demanded they redesign it with harder puzzles to build character. The neighbors laughed, but the complaint reached the local paper. Soon the town held a maze challenge for charity, and the same dad got lost for an hour in the upgraded version. Halloween had its revenge, and everyone learned that humility is the scariest maze of all. 34. A woman in California decorated her porch with a skeleton, sitting at a table holding a coffee mug facing her neighbor's kitchen window. The family next door said the constant Bony stare ruined every meal they filed. A complaint asking her to turn the skeleton away. She refused, calling it seasonal freedom. They started eating in the living room instead. Photos of the silent standoff went viral. People picked sides in the comments. The skeleton stayed untouched for weeks. Eventually, the family moved away, leaving one last plate of candy on the porch. Peace was restored by eviction. 35. A man in Ohio wrote to the city complaining that his neighbor's medieval dungeon display was historically inaccurate. He said the torches looked Roman. The armor was Renaissance, and the background music was from the 80s. The letter was 2 pages long. The city forwarded it to the neighborhood group, who framed it as performance art. The next year, the same neighbor added a banner saying historical fiction zone. The complainer never spoke again, but every October, someone tapes a fake museum ticket on his door. History remains a spectator sport in suburban America. 36. A woman in Portland said her neighbor was disposing pumpkin guts illegally. She claimed the smell was biohazardous and attracting rogue squirrels. Sanitation workers arrived expecting chemical waste, but found a small compost bin filled with orange mush. The squirrels were fine, but the woman refused to admit defeat. She wrote a post titled "The Pumpkin Scandal" and tagged the mayor. It went viral for being unintentionally funny. Her neighbors started leaving carved pumpkins on her porch like peace offerings. Now her house smells like victory and organic decay combined. 37. A tech enthusiast in Austin attached a white sheet to a drone and flew it around his yard, calling it a ghost demonstration. His neighbor filmed it and sent the video to local news saying he was under aerial harassment. The drone ghost hovered near trees, blinking red. The footage spread everywhere. People online called it the haunted UFO. Police told him to ground his invention. He said, "Innovation cannot die." The ghost retired to his garage and dust collected where glory once hovered. Halloween loves a hero who cannot read the room. 38. In Shadowy in Florida, fined a family for not decorating. They said the undecorated house destroyed the community vibe. The letter demanded at least 1 pumpkin within 48 hours. The family protested by putting up a single plastic pumpkin with a sign that said "Satisfied." The story blew up online. People drove by just to take selfies with the loneliest pumpkin in Florida. By Thanksgiving, the HOA dropped the fine, but the family kept the same pumpkin all year. It became a landmark for quiet rebellion under pastel skies. 39. A man in Chicago said he heard coded messages through his wall. He thought his neighbors were plotting against him. Investigators discovered a motion-activated candy bowl whispering, "Take one if you dare." Every time someone passed by, the sound traveled through the vents. The man apologized, then bought his own candy bowl to return the favor. The building became an echo chamber of robotic voices saying, "Take one" in stereo. Halloween ended weeks ago, but the whispers continued haunting everyone like leftover sugar. 40. A man in Pennsylvania said his neighbor's fake spider webs were a safety hazard. He wrote that a child or squirrel could get trapped and cause mass panic. He called it an unregulated public entanglement threat. The letter made it to the local newspaper. The editor added dramatic music to the online version and called it "Web of Fear." The following week, kids dressed as squirrels visited his house pretending to get stuck. He closed his blinds until December. Sometimes karma wraps you tighter than decoration silk. 41. A woman in Seattle called the police to report that her neighbor had copied her Halloween theme from last year. She said her skeleton barbecue display was stolen idea for idea, right down to the grill made from flower pots. The officer told her creativity was not copyrighted. She cried and filmed the conversation for proof. The video went viral, and everyone started recreating the same skeleton barbecue, just to annoy her by the next Halloween. There were dozens of identical displays all over her street. She moved her decorations inside and switched to Thanksgiving. Only Halloween had officially become a community cookout, with bones included. 42. A man in California started a petition to ban plastic Halloween decorations, claiming they were killing the planet. He wrote a long post about petroleum-based skeletons rotting in landfills for centuries. His neighbor printed the post on recycled paper and taped it to his own yard next to a giant inflatable spider. The argument drew news cameras and environmental groups joined the comments section. By Christmas, both men were invited to a climate debate that never happened. The inflatable spider still stands every October the planet spins on, while suburbia debates sustainability and seasonal colors. 43. A woman in Vermont complained that her neighbor's "end is near" sign was too philosophical. She said the message was giving her existential dread and was not appropriate for a children's holiday. The neighbor argued it was just part of his zombie apocalypse theme. She suggested replacing it with a more cheerful word, like boo. He refused, saying art must provoke thought. She called the Hawaii, who told her thought was not against policy. The sign stayed and became the town's unofficial slogan. Every November, someone changes it to "the end is near" for leftovers. The joke never dies. 44. A man in Oregon filed a complaint claiming that his neighbor's zombie garden gnomes were offensive. He said it was unfair to portray gnomes as undead creatures when they were symbols of peace and gardening pride. The homeowner replied by adding tiny tombstones and giving each gnome a name. People started visiting the display and leaving flowers at the gnome graves. The local paper wrote a story calling it the world's smallest cemetery. The original complainer stopped mowing his lawn to protest. Now his yard looks haunted, too poetic justice at its creepiest. 45. A retiree named Walter filed a report after his neighbor displayed a tombstone that said, "Here lies Walter, he rotted." Well, he said it was a personal threat and demanded the name be changed. The neighbor insisted it was random and bought at a dollar store. The Hoey suggested replacing the name. But by then, the story had reached local TV. Walter went from angry to famous. He eventually started selling t-shirts with his own tombstone printed on them. Halloween turned him into an accidental brand. Nothing dies faster than outrage turned into merch. 46. A cat owner in Nevada swore her pet was being hypnotized by a spinning bat decoration hanging from a tree. She told friends the bat was casting spells and her cat had stopped eating. The vet confirmed the cat was fine, but the story spread anyway by the weekend. The house had visitors taking photos of the so-called cursed feline. The woman finally removed the bat and claimed the curse was lifted. Now she sells protective collars online shaped like tiny pumpkins. The cat still sleeps under the same tree. Happy and unbothered magic always loses to naps. 47. A Florida man called code enforcement. Because his neighbor played a recording of slowed-down children's laughter, he said it sounded like demons whispering in his yard. The city tested the noise level and called it deeply unsettling but legal. The recording became a neighborhood attraction. Teenagers came by to record videos and parents warned their kids not to listen too long. The homeowner eventually replaced it with normal Halloween music, but the legend stayed alive. The laughter still echoes in memory, proving that fear needs no permit. 48. An Ho in Texas issued a fine to a homeowner for using the wrong font on his Keep Out sign. They said Comic Sans was whimsical and undermined the seriousness of Halloween spirit. The man refused to pay. Instead, he hosted a neighborhood font party where every decoration used a different typeface from Gothic to bubble letters. The Hosa gave up after realizing no one wanted to enforce typography rules. Now that street is known as Type Town, where graphic design meets chaos. Sometimes rebellion is just a better font. 49. In Savannah, Georgia, a history buff complained that his neighbor's ghosts were historically inaccurate. He said documented spirits from their area, would have worn linen shrouds, not polyester sheets. He even offered to help them age the fabric with tea bags. The neighbors ignored him, so he left pamphlets in everyone's mailbox about Colonial haunting. Accuracy, people started inviting him to judge their costumes. He became the self-proclaimed ghost historian of the block. Halloween gave him purpose, and an audience. Accuracy might be dead, but enthusiasm still haunts us all. So that's it. 49 complaints proving America can turn pumpkins into politics and ghosts into lawsuits. Halloween was never the problem. It's people who make fear into paperwork. Maybe that's what makes it perfect. The only night where stupidity wears a costume too. If you laughed, cringed, or recognized your own neighbor. In this madness, hit like before someone files a complaint about fun. Subscribe for more chaos every week and tell me in the comments which one broke your brain the most or better. Yet, what's the dumbest Halloween complaint you've ever heard? Maybe next time your story will make the list.